Perception. We have all heard the term that perception is reality. However, consider this. Our current individual reality is determined by what we have perceived until now. We all function within the confines, constraints, or definitions of our existing paradigms. So, unless you're solving an old problem again, then be prepared to step out of your comfort zone for the discovery of new solutions. How does one assess a given situation? Well, it first involves getting input about the nature of the issue. The process that we need to employ to get the necessary input from all of our senses is called perceiving. Perceiving can involve all of our senses. We look with our eyes, but we see with our brain. Our brain interprets what our eyes are looking at in order to create understanding. We hear with our ears, but we listen with our brain. Our brain interprets the sounds that we hear so that we understand. We call that listening. We perceive through what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we touch, and so on. If, in the process of perceiving, our brain filters out part of what we look at and what we hear, then our brain does not get the full picture, so to speak. We look, but we cannot see everything. We hear, but cannot listen to everything. Our brain gets taught to only see what we already know or believe, and not to see anything new. It learns to see only what everyone else sees. We cannot discover if we cannot see anything new. The history books are full of cases where those who were attempting to discover something new could not perceive something new, because their perception was filtered or blocked. They looked at something containing the possibility of a new discovery, but were physically and mentally incapable of seeing the new thing, because it lay outside the boundaries of their existing paradigm. For all practical purposes, the new potential discovery was invisible. So how do we see what others cannot? Unfiltered perceiving is the highest form of observational intelligence. Let me repeat this because this is of critical importance for you to understand. Unfiltered perceiving is the highest form of observational intelligence. You must learn to see without bias, filtering, or blocking. You must learn to listen without bias, filtering, or blocking. Only then will it be possible for you to discover, learn, and understand something new. A theory can continue to be substantiated by thousands and thousands of measurements for many years, but then it can be proven wrong, at any time, by only a single measurement. You cannot perceive that singular new measurement that will disprove the existing theory if you cannot see with an unbiased perspective. You will adopt the traditional approach that if the new facts don't fit the existing theory, then do what the masses do. Change the facts to fit the old theory. We are often impressed with the legendary skills of Sherlock Holmes as he looks at what we look at, but then he sees so much more than we see. He observes, and then concludes, not the other way around, like the rest of us. Do not approach the solution to new problems with preconceived boundaries. The answer, or better answer, may lie outside of your existing paradigm. In courts of law, often a defense lawyer looks for, and only sees, that which will render his client innocent. Whereas, the prosecutor may examine the same pool of information and then may also look for, and see only, that which will convict. We have often heard that asking questions is a very important way to discover new things. It focuses the mind to follow particular pathways that eventually lead to the answers that we seek. That method is called the inquiry method. It is like traveling down a tunnel that gets smaller and smaller until you reach the point that you cannot travel further, hoping that you reach your answer before you run out of tunnel. You can become so focused on reaching the end of the tunnel that you may miss the important writing on the walls that are actually the answers to your problems. A downside of just using pure inquiry is that you can only get answers to the questions that you ask. There is an additional way, and in my mind, one that is not used enough. It is called the empathic method, in which you observe or perceive, without the direction of formalized questions. You just see, listen, smell, with an open mind. This is why nature provides such a powerful source for potential discovery. Perceiving natural processes in the real world leads to some discoveries that may have not been uncovered through direct questioning. The art of questioning takes one down specific pathways. All this is very powerful, but one might miss the opportunity to smell the flowers on one's checklist journey. The famous expression "seek to understand," rather than being understood, emphasizes the need to listen, and not just hear, while you wait to make your counterpoint. An open mind is critical to learning and understanding. Eliminating perceptual bias and blocking is the key. The American philosopher Will Rogers once said, "Be careful of all the stuff in your head that you know to be true. That just ain't so." You cannot build a strong house on faulty foundations. The key to discovery is to travel down roads and take journeys not traveled by others. To be successful, you must be able to combine that which is actually true with new perceptions that need to be tested. These newly tested truths are to be mixed and blended with known reality to create new realities. You may now ask, how do I learn to perceive without bias? When hearing music, listen not only to the collective output, but listen for individual instruments. Focus carefully to ensure that you can isolate in your mind each and every instrument as it plays. On a summer day, while in the park, lie in the grass and listen for all the different types of sounds that you can hear. Listen and listen more. When drinking, see if you can isolate the various tastes in a manner similar to a wine sommelier. Do not treat the wine as a collective taste, but attempt to experience the various subtle flavors and aromas that exist within the wine. When you're eating, do the same. When you look at a painting, go beyond just looking. See the detailed colors, the brushstroke, the mood, the message. See within the picture. It is more than just paint randomly applied. Do not dismiss it as simply a meaningless view of nature or portrait without meaning. If you practice all of these things, you will find that you will exist in a new reality that has resulted from your ability to perceive more by applying less bias or filtering. This is the case where less yields more. As the famous expression might now say, your reality can now boldly go where others have not gone, or never will. So make it so. It is the deliberate practice of perceiving, without bias, that will ensure your observational skills are maximized. Observe without bias, filtering, or pre-conclusions. Patiently, see and listen. Let these new perceptions generate a new and exciting reality for you. Remember, your perception is only your reality. It may be distant from the rest of your neighbor's perceptions. It's time for your journey to begin. It's time to be all that you can be. Seek to understand, not to be understood. And finally, remember that the process of unbiased perceiving is the highest form of observational intelligence.